So here is my investment potential checklist, IPC, that I run through every single time I'm making a decision about investing in a crypto project. Now, the number of times I've done this, I can kind of rate this automatically just on a scale of 1 to 5 in my own head. But for the purposes of this video and also for demonstration purposes for you to actually plug in some of your crypto projects, I'm going to provide access to it on the course page, so you can access this as well at your leisure and put in any crypto project you can possibly find into this algorithm, which will spit out a number that tells you how likely it is that based on these variables, it is a high quality crypto project worth investing in. Okay, I'm going to run through 4 very different cryptocurrency projects in this video and show you 1, how to get the data, and 2, how to utilize it. Okay. Now, the data that I'm getting in these videos is all freely available. There is no paywall, there's no proprietary data, okay? You can pay for extra data, but I've designed the algorithm to work with the majority of data that is available for the majority of cryptocurrencies. Now, you might have to search particularly hard for some of the data on some cryptocurrencies that might not be generally available. But basically, as I'm sure you'll see, the majority of data is available for the most cryptocurrency projects that I'm going to be showing you. We're going to start with Bitcoin, which is the obvious one to start with, seeing as it's currently dominating around 40% of the market at the time of recording. Okay, current price of around about 45, 46, 47,000 US dollars, jumped up to a high of 50,000 today. Okay, so I'm going to rate on this scale that I've developed, the IPC, how good an investment would be in Bitcoin. So let's start with the first one. So market capitalization, we've got 0, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion, and 10 billion plus. Well, definitely, if we look at the market cap of Bitcoin, we can see that it's definitely above, almost, 933 billion. Okay, so that is going to be the top end of our scale. So we're going to score that a 5. Okay, then we're going to go 24-hour trading volume. Once again, one of the most highly traded assets. It's going to be very, very high. So we're going to put 5 again on that. Next, we're going to be looking at the lockup liquidity score. Now, finding a figure, a total lockup for some crypto projects is going to be difficult. But fortunately, most crypto projects do provide a lockup score. Now, you're not going to get this on this particular CoinGecko page. However, you can use a service like blockchain.com to look at the Explorer, okay? Or you can even use a service like Into the Block, where you can really delve in and look at the statistics in line with how many people are holding any particular cryptocurrency at a certain time. Okay, so if we do this, we're actually able to determine over the last 12 months how many people have been holding their Bitcoin versus selling. Okay, and that's what I'm ultimately looking for, is the number of people who have locked up their crypto. Okay, and we can see that 59% over the last year have not sold. Okay, so we're almost at 60%, which in the algorithm is going to be this one here, so just under 3. Round down for this. Okay, so if time passes a little bit further and we're able to see it go over 60%, then that would be definitely into 4. But for the moment, we're going to do it as a 2. Okay, even though it's 59%, okay, we're going to round it down so that the algorithm scores it more harshly than it would otherwise. Then we're going to look at the liquidity of trading it, okay, and the 2% that we've got. We need to go to markets for this and look at the top market that your asset is being traded in, okay? So you want to really examine the most liquid exchange for trading your particular cryptocurrency, okay? And of course, in this instance, it's Binance. And we've got a 2% depth of around about 44 million plus and around about 32 million minus. Don't worry too much about those. They would probably generally be in the similar ballpark in as far as the algorithm is concerned. So we're going to go back to our trading parameters, and we've got between 10 million and 50 million. Okay, so we're going to round down again. Okay, and even though that says less than 10 million, we're going to say 4. Okay, if this had been a little bit further along, okay, then another 7 million, then we would have been able to put it in the next category up. Okay, but for the purposes of this algorithm, we're going to round down and always make sure we're judging it harsher than more optimistically. Okay. So project update score, this is one you might struggle to find for some crypto projects, but for things like Bitcoin and larger scale projects, you can just go to the GitHub page, which is located on their main page. So if you see here, there should be an option for the source code and look at GitHub. Okay, so this will take you through to the actual page where you can actually see the code actually being developed. And if you go to the insights page, so if I demonstrate this for you, might be easier. So if you go to the Bitcoin projects page, okay, and then you're able to go to the projects, you're going to get an overview, okay. So you're going to click on Bitcoin, and then you're going to click on Insights. And when you go into Insights, you can click on Code Frequency, okay, and this will bring up this chart here, okay. I'm just going to switch back to my other tab, so you can see how I got there. And you can see that there's quite frequent activity on Bitcoin, okay? And all you're going to do is count the major spikes, okay? So we're going to count a major spike as anything that's, you know, kind of above 5,000, okay? So 1, 2, 3, okay? So that's going to be 3, okay? We've got it going back to the 1st of January 2020. Okay, and this is January 2021. So technically, if we're looking over the last 12 months, I'm recording this in September, we're looking for anything along here. So a good 2 or 3, okay, between those two, and obviously a more constant update in the background. So I'm going to err on the side of caution there and say it's 3, okay? So we've had 3 major updates in the last 12 months. So I'm going to be putting that as a 3. Okay, then we're going to go to the number of exchanges listed. You can look at this on the actual page itself. So if you go into markets, we can actually see that Bitcoin has a lot of markets. It goes on and on and on and on and on. So we can comfortably put 50 plus there. Okay, one thing to look out for is if you're looking on for some projects on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap and whatever site you're looking at, make sure that they actually follow the exchanges you're going to be listing in their following, basically. So make sure that you're getting a holistic picture, a whole picture, rather than just a biased view through one particular cryptocurrency list. Okay, so if I was doing this for a very small coin that I'll show you later, I would use both CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko and maybe even other sources to determine the exact amount of exchanges that my coin or the coin I'm investigating is listed on. It even gets more complicated for DeFi situations, which is another story entirely. Okay, age of the project. Well, I happen to know that Bitcoin is older than 96 months, so we can put that all the way to 5. Then the number of wallets created, okay, or social media score. Sometimes the social media score is better than the number of wallets created, or sometimes the number of wallets created is better than the social media score. Bitcoin doesn't really have a social media presence. Everyone obviously knows about it, but it doesn't really have a marketing campaign behind it or anything along those lines, okay? So because it's decentralized, we're going to look at the number of wallets created. And once again, you can go into the blockchain data, and you can actually look for the number of wallets that have been created in this data. Okay, now it might take you a little bit of time to discover. Okay, and you can also obviously have a look at the other situation around there, though. Okay, so you can look at all these bit different data points. Okay, but if we actually look down here, we can see that the total number of wallets with a balance, okay, is around 39 million. Okay, so on our metric, that comes in at around about the top score. Okay, so 10 million plus. Okay, that's scoring the maximum for that. Transparency score. So this is where a cryptocurrency is either proprietary, i.e. it's owned by a company and everything's locked down and everything's released on schedules, and the people behind it are very secretive about what's going on, versus open source. We know because of GitHub that Bitcoin is very, very open source. Okay, there are no active paid developers for Bitcoin. Okay, everything is voluntarily contributed. Okay, so that again is going to score a maximum score on our chart of 5. Okay, Then we've got total tokens. Okay, we know that there's going to be 21 million Bitcoin, so that comes in at less than 100 million, so that's going to score a 1. And there we have it. A score of 40 out of 50 for Bitcoin as an investment potential. Okay, so this doesn't really score the likelihood that you're going to make a profit. All it does is assess whether the project is likely to remain a high quality project in the future based on its previous actions. So let's reset that now. Okay, and let's go on to something a little bit more avant-garde than a particular cryptocurrency that's been around since the first day of cryptocurrencies. Okay, let's go now to Crypto.com. Okay, so this is CRO. This is a much more proprietary token, okay, because it fuels the ecosystem that surrounds Crypto.com and is not particularly open source. There are open source elements to it, there are DeFi elements to it, but generally speaking, everything is very controlled through Crypto.com by the entity, the company, Crypto.com itself. Okay, so we're now going to have a look at this and delve into this. So we're going to go back to our market capitalization. Let's have a look at our market capitalization. We are at $4 billion. So if we look at this, we're between 4 and 5. Okay, so we're going to go with 4. Then 24-hour trading volume, we've got 80 million. Okay, so let's go with 80 million. And where does that fit in our pattern? Okay, so we're number 4 again. Okay, then we've got lockup liquidity score. Now, on certain cryptocurrencies where it's really obvious that some people are locking some of their crypto away, like CRO, for example, there's going to be a total value locked number. Okay, so we happen to know that there's a value locked of 63 million. Okay, as a percentage, though, we don't really know that, and so we're going to have to dig a little bit deeper and look into the metrics themselves, because that figure on a market cap of 4 billion doesn't seem very likely. Okay, so we're going to have a look into the blockchain. 33%. Okay, so 33% have been holding for longer than a year. Okay, and we're going to use that as our metric. Okay, to make sure that we can use that score. So let's go back to our score there, and we've got 1. Okay, 1 to 2, between 1 and 2. We're going to round down. Okay, so we're going to go with less than 45%. Okay, because it's 30%, or just actually on 30%. Bear with me. 33%. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go. It's not less than 30, but it's definitely less than 45. So we're going to go for 2. Okay. Trading liquidity depth score. So let's look at our markets. The top market is most likely to be Crypto.com itself because of the proprietary nature of the coin. Yep, there we go. Okay, and we've got 2% depth. Okay, now when you're looking at this market, you want to look at a stable coin ideally. Okay, unless something very, very untoward is happening, most cryptocurrencies tend to be mostly traded against a stable coin. In this case, if we ignore the sponsored results, we get eGold against CRO. Okay, you want to look for the largest one. Okay, so we've got 1 million either side here, basically. Okay, so we're going to use that one because that is the most liquid, even though it isn't particularly a stable coin. That's tied to gold as a stable coin. It is still worth pursuing. So we're going to look at 1 million either side. Go back to our form. We're over 1 million, but we're less than 10 million. Okay, so that's going to be a 4. Okay, on terms of liquidity score. Then we've got the project update score. Okay, so once again, we're going to go into the source code. Now, for a proprietary token, you might not always have a GitHub account to look at. But generally speaking, if a crypto project is listed on GitHub, it will give you some statistics. And once again, we've got different statistics here. We've got very, very different situation to Bitcoin. Only 1, 2, 3 major events. I'm going to discount these as they're less than 10k updates, and there's one big huge update which speaks to the proprietary nature of this token, because obviously everything happened all at once, and that happened around 6 months ago. So I'm going to say there's only been one major update to this blockchain in the last 12 months. That scores a 1. The number of exchanges listed. Okay, let's have a look at that. Now, something to be very careful of when you look at this is there are duplicate exchanges everywhere because these trading pairs are actually here. Okay, so in order to get the actual number of trading currencies available, you need to actually delve in a little bit deeper and look at the variety of different exchanges, because the Crypto.com goes down, and that's the problem with a proprietary token. A lot of these other exchanges are not going to work either. Okay, so in this instance, rather than actually finding the data itself, it's probably better just to look at the number of tokens and then divide it by 2. Okay, the number of exchanges available and divide it by 2. In this case, we've got 122. Okay, probably at least half of them are a derivative of Crypto.com in some way or another. Okay, so we're going to eliminate half of those and then use that number, but still comes comfortably over 60. Okay, so we're still going to be on the maximum score there. Okay, so that's going to be at least 50. Okay, the age of the project. Okay, so if we go back to the main page, we're able to see when the token was first listed. If we go to the overview, we can have a look at the earliest trade time, all-time low. Generally speaking, that's going to be sorry, that's Bitcoin. I'm going to go to CRO and do the same thing. So I can actually show you. I thought $67 was a little bit high for CRO. We're going to go back here, okay, and generally speaking, the lowest score is the lowest price is actually when the token was actually first listed, okay. There are other ways of determining the length of time that a token has been around. You, for example, you can look on GitHub, and it will tell you when the Crypto.com was first created, the repository, okay. But generally speaking, you can use the lowest price of the token, unless, of course, you're aware of the fact that the token has existed at a higher price and then gone lower subsequently. Okay, so for this, I'm actually going to use this score here. Okay, I happen to know that CRO token has only existed for around about 2 years. Okay, so I'm going to use that for this. Okay, so we've got 0 to 6 doesn't qualify, 12 to 24, okay, 24 to 48, it fits into that bracket there, so we're going to go for 2. Okay, number of wallets created. Okay, once again, we're going to look at the blockchain, okay, to actually see where we're at with that. Okay, and you might have to delve in a bit deeper on this particular occasion to actually see the explorers. Okay, so in this instance, you can use a variety of different wallets scanners to actually determine the number of wallets that are holding a particular cryptocurrency. Let's have a look at CedoScan. Okay, and this will actually tell you a staked amount as well. Okay, but if we actually have a look at the transaction data, we'll be able to determine how many wallets there are, okay, usually on this, okay, although it doesn't look like it at the moment. Let's go back to our main page while that loads, and let's look at blockchain.info. Okay, so we've got lots and lots of data, but nothing about the number of wallets. Okay, let's have a look at the wallets situation. Okay, so we know the number of transactions. Let me just have a look. Sometimes it can take a little while to find this information if you're not particularly familiar with, let's look at Etherscan. You also need to obviously understand the number of what blockchain your cryptocurrency is based on in order to use the correct blockchain explorer. Okay, 112,000 holders. Okay, so there are 112,000 wallets of CRO. Okay, if we go back to our algorithm, okay, that is going to be 3, which is under 1 million. Okay, then we go with the transparency score. CRO is largely proprietary. Okay, so that's going to score a 0 in this instance. Okay, there are some elements of DeFi to it. Maybe you could score it a 1 if you're feeling particularly generous, but as far as open source projects go, it's not particularly open source friendly. And then the total tokens, there's 30 billion. Okay, if we look at this, we can actually see the total supply is around 30 billion. Okay, circulating supply. Use the total supply, okay, because obviously you're valuing an opportunity and you want to make sure it's risk averse. Okay, so we're going to go for 30 billion there, which is less than 100 billion, so therefore that's a 4. Okay, so therefore CRO comes out at 29 out of 50. Okay, so we had Bitcoin at 40 out of 50, and we have CRO at 29 out of 50. Okay, let's refresh again, and let's have a look at another smaller cryptocurrency, okay, where you might be able to determine even more likelihood of profit. So this is Syscoin, okay. This is ranked 300th at the moment, therefore it's a very small cap cryptocurrency, okay. Let's go through the algorithm. So by now you should be pro at this. Market capitalization. Let's look at the market capitalization of Syscoin. We've got $172 million. So we're going to be going for 3, which is just less than 1 billion. Then we've got a 24-hour trading volume. Today there's been quite a lot of trading volume on Syscoin, and we're currently around about 18 million. Okay, so we're going to go for 4. Okay, that's quite a nice high trading volume for the last 24 hours. Naturally, if you do this score on multiple days, you might get different outcomes, okay? But generally, if you use an average, if you just become aware of the volume of the cryptocurrency in general, you'll be able to use that score better. Lockup liquidity score. Okay, so Syscoin does use a masternode system where there are masternodes locked up with different 100,000 masternode cryptocurrencies, so Syscoin indeed. So you're able to lock up Syscoin for a undetermined period in order to earn rewards. Okay, so in order to find out the amount of Syscoin that's locked up, you're going to have to use a Syscoin Explorer. Okay, there are 2,571 masternodes in operation at the moment. Okay, and we can see that there are 56,947 wallets. That's for a use later, so I can actually go in and fill that one there because I actually know how long that's going to. So that's 100,000 less than 2. And if you do come across data, you can obviously put the data in the algorithm without having to go through it chronologically. Okay, but let's have a look and see if I can find out how many the network, how much of the network is actually locked away. Okay, so let's go to overview, top wallets, the rich list. So all this data is really useful for you to know anyway, okay? But if you do start and stumble to find something, then perhaps look back at the main page and look at the Explorer. So we have Cryptoid here, and we have BCFN. And if we look at the number of, normally there is a amount provided, but we'll have a look. Okay, normally there's a statistic data for how much is actually locked away, but we can just do a back of the envelope calculation if we need to. Okay, so the circulating supply is currently, well actually let's use this. So let's use 888,000, and I'm just going to use a calculator app just to work this out. So we know that there are 2,571 servers. Okay, we can even find out the location of them. Okay, but we actually know that there are those servers in operation at the moment. So therefore, each server will have 100,000 master nodes. Okay, 100,000 Syscoins on each master node. Okay, so if we perform a quick back of the envelope calculation, we can actually work out 2,571 times 100,000 means that there are 257,100 Syscoin locked away. Okay, so if we're able to work out the percentage of that, okay, that's roughly going to be between 30 and 45%. Okay, of 888,000. So therefore, we can fit in our algorithm. Okay, so sometimes you can actually just work out this information without having to actually need to access it. Okay, so we're going to go for 2 on that one. Then we've got our liquidity. We're going to look at that. Go to markets, look at the largest one. Okay, quite small liquidity here, 62.42. Okay, so we're going to go back to our algorithm, and that's going to be 2 less than 100,000. Then we've got the project updates. Okay, so we're going to go to the Syscoin code. Fairly frequent updates here. I'm going to count the ones that are over kind of 100,000. Okay, so we've got one big one there. Okay, and technically that falls out slightly outside of scope. We've got 2 there. Okay, so depending on how you judge this, okay, we're roughly 9 months in here. Okay, obviously, you know, if you want to get a bit more specific about this, you can zoom in to the timeframes, but I'm going to say that's a 3. Okay, and obviously there is a level of subjectivity here. Okay, but if you want to be more precise, it's obviously only a demo. When you're actually working out what to do with your capital, you can be. Okay, number of exchanges listed. Let's have a look. Okay, not very many exchanges listed on this one. Okay, obviously we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 unique exchanges. Okay, so that's going to be quite a low score on this. Okay, so we're actually going to round this down to 0. Okay, because we're going to go to 0 rather than 10. Okay, if it was scored 11 plus, we go here, but actually it's 0. Okay, because 6 exchanges is actually not very many. Okay, age of the project, I happen to know that Syscoin is 7 years old because it had its birthday recently. So we're going to go for 4 on this one. Okay, then we're going to go for number of wallets created. We've already answered that in an earlier section. Then we're going to go for the transparency score. Syscoin is proprietary, but it also has a large open source element as indicated by its GitHub. So I'm actually going to go for 2 on this because it does encourage people to utilize the Syscoin platform in a way that suits them. Okay, but it is obviously largely proprietary as well at the same time. Okay, so there is an open source angle to it, but also it's largely proprietary. Okay, total tokens 880 million, which is a 2. Okay, so for Syscoin we've got a score of 24 out of 50. Okay, 24 out of 50 for that. So we had 40 out of 50 for Bitcoin. We had 20 something, I can't actually remember, for CRO, and we've got 24 out of 50 for Syscoin. Let's do one final analysis, okay, just to make sure, of a token that is very, very small. Okay, I'm going to reset all these scores. Okay, I'm going to go to this and just reset everything. Okay, and obviously if you're looking at different cryptocurrencies, you're going to be doing this fairly frequently, and you can also bias your portfolio to those opportunities that you feel are going to be more appropriate in the long run. Okay, so this is why people probably prefer Bitcoin, even though there's a lower chance of making more money. They prefer it because there's less risk, and that's what this algorithm picks up basically, is it assesses the risk of you losing your capital against gaining a profit. So this cryptocurrency is called Deep Brain Chain, and this is something I've owned for a very, very long time. It's 768th in the world. Okay, quite a small market cap, and represents the opposite of the Bitcoin analysis that I did earlier. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of searching for information on this, okay, because it's quite a small project, but hopefully we can rate it on the algorithm and decide how well this is a potential opportunity. So let's go for, first of all, $25 million market cap. Okay, so that's a 2 on here. 24-hour trading volume. Let's have a look. 700,000, 600, 700,000. Okay, so we've got 2 on there as well. We've got lockup liquidity score. As far as I'm aware, you don't need to lock up your Deep Brain Chain, but you can look on the Neo tracker, okay, because Deep Brain Chain is a Neo chain token. And if you wanted to actually delve in a little bit deeper, you could find out a little bit more information. Unfortunately, the software that I was using to analyze Bitcoin into the block doesn't actually have Deep Brain Chain listed. Okay, so in this case, when you can't find the information that you need, or if it doesn't seem to be available, you can just put 0. Okay, so no lockup or no information is 0. Okay, 2% trading depth. Let's have a look at the markets. Okay, so we've got 4,000 and 16,000. Okay, so go with the lower one here. Okay, as if you're trading it in the opposite direction. Okay, and you want to sell or buy. Okay, go for the lowest scoring one. Okay, obviously the top one is KuCoin. So 4,000, so very, very low on the liquidity score. 1, less than 10,000. Okay, then we've got a project update score. Let's have a look at the GitHub page. Okay, so we're between March and April, one big spike. I'm going to discount this one. You can look at these as additions and deletions if you want to. So technically this would be 2. Okay, I'm actually going to call it 2 just because it has been in the last 12 months. But generally speaking, the bigger the spikes, the better, and the more, the more selective you can be with your selections, then the better the algorithm is going to work. Okay, so I'm actually going to put 2 on that. Number of exchanges listed. Let's have a look there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so very small amount of exchanges listed. Once again, I'm going to put 0. The age of the project in months. Okay, let's find out that. Let's go to the overview page on CoinGecko. All-time low. Okay, that's not accurate, okay, because obviously the project has existed before the 13th of March 2020, okay. So we're actually going to go to another source to find out the actual age of the project. We actually use the white paper, okay, and look when the white paper was actually published. Usually there is a date in the white paper where you're able to isolate it. Sometimes the white paper is created after the creation of the token, okay, in which case you can use the Neo chain, okay. There we go, okay, so 12th of December 2017, okay, so we're currently just coming up to 4 years into the creation of this particular cryptocurrency. So we're 4 years into it, 4 complete years, okay, so we're going to use that. Age of project is between 48 and 72. I'm going to round down. Okay, so that's the 3. Number of wallets, again, on the, we can see this here, 172,000, 170, 170, 172. Okay, so we're going to use that. So that's going to be less than a million. Okay, transparency score. Deep Brain Chain, if you have a read of the white paper, is actually quite a proprietary token. Okay, it's designed for artificial intelligence. There's not that much going on behind the scenes from an open source perspective, so therefore it's going to be a low score. I'm actually going to put a 1 just because they are quite avant-garde in terms of their use of the technology. They're just not particularly open source with regard to the blockchain technology. And then total tokens, let's have a look there. So we've got a total of 10 billion tokens. Okay, so if we go back to our algorithm, okay, it's going to be a 3. Okay, because it's less than 50 billion. Okay, so quite a low scoring here. Okay, 17 out of 50. Okay, so the lowest score on our chart. Okay, but therefore the most risk. Okay, and obviously if you look at the price, it is reflected in that. Okay, so this is the cheapest asset that I've analyzed in this video. Okay, and that's purely a reflection of the risk involved in owning it, but then the risk and reward can be equated. So for example, if this market cap suddenly experienced a huge run, then that would contribute to a higher score, and vice versa. Or if the number of exchanges suddenly increased, okay, and it became more liquid, and particularly if the depth was better, then obviously it would turn into a better opportunity. But at the moment, it's worth a punt because it's over 10, okay, but yeah, definitely the weakest out of the 4 different cryptocurrencies I've analyzed using the investment potential checklist. So go through the investment potential checklist with your cryptocurrency projects. Delve in, find the details. You should be able to find the details on any crypto project that is publicly accessible, and use this algorithm in order to calculate how profitable, how likely it is, and how risky it is, and it'll give you a score out of 50 to determine what the crypto project ultimately could be worth and whether you're likely to lose your money or gain money.